Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's video. I'm very tired. So, it has been a week for me. Just flare up things, nothing crazy. Or nothing out of the ordinary. Flare ups are pretty crazy. For the last week of March, I wanted to do a first quarter of 2025 wrap up. So, I've seen some videos like this on my feed of people talking about the last 3 months, goals that they had set and how they turned out, getting ready for the next season, things like that. So I wanted to sit down and just kind of do a video like that because I wanted to. Not really much more than that. So I've talked about this on here before, but goal setting is quite difficult with a disability, chronic illness, anything really, because life is so unpredictable. I can be perfectly fine 1 minute and entirely flared up, unable to move the next. So it's hard to set goals because you just don't know what's going to happen. But what I find when it does come to any sort of goal setting is keeping things small does tend to work for me. So that's another reason I like these quarterly roundups, where instead of trying to make a goal for the end of the year, I can just make a goal for the next 3 months. And if it worked, it worked. If it didn't, it didn't. It's a little bit more long term, but not a full year, so it's not that bad. My brain is not on today. So one of my goals this quarter was to at least finish one crochet project. Now this was based off of last year when I only had a few crochet projects that I finished. I really wanted to take some time and really get into this hobby because I just really wanted a hobby again. I read and I do things like that. I read, I bake, I make videos, but all of those things I make content out of. I wanted a hobby that was just mine, that wasn't necessarily content. Like when I finish something, I could post it because I'm proud of it, but the actual making of it, I kind of wanted to make my own. Because I don't know why, but so many people throw onto you the second you're good at something or the second you just want to make something a hobby that you need to make money off of it and you need to do all these things. But you can just have a hobby that's just for you that you do because it's fun. Even if it's just like watching a TV show or watching a movie genre that you enjoy. Like it can, like you don't have to monetize everything. And that's one of the things I wanted to do with crochet was yes, I can post about it when I finish something, but the actual process, maybe not so much unless I really want to document something. Because it's like my first time doing something big and I want to do that. So I really wanted to make sure I got through a good amount of projects this year, but I didn't want to overshoot my goal or make this big goal and not be able to hit it. And so I started with just 4 projects finished this year. I've already hit 8. Needless to say, I very much enjoyed it. A lot of those projects have been like pre-made kits. Like I've done 2 Wooble kits and 2 kits that we found at like Home Goods, plus a book sleeve for my mom and a small little blanket for my dog. And I'm working. Oh, and I just made a case, a little sleeve for my um books tablet, my e-reader. So yeah, that's 7. So needless to say, I've reached that goal, which is exciting to say. But the rest seem to be on track as well. So the one goal that I had for the full true year was to read 50 books this year. Now, this is my 3rd year doing a total books read goal thing. The first year I did it, I wanted to read 12 books because I had never set a goal before. So 1 book a month felt very achievable for me, and I did that pretty fast. just like this crochet goal. And so the next year, last year, I set a goal for 24 books because I was reading about 2 books a month. And again, I hit that pretty, I won't say quickly, I hit it fairly easily. I think I hit the goal in like October last year. So this year, I wanted to really, really challenge myself with reading and make a goal that I know I may or may not hit because I just want to try. And so this year I decided that I wanted to attempt to read 50 books. So I was going back and forth at the beginning of this year of if I wanted to do 50 or if I just wanted to add another 12 and do 36. I ended up doing a bit of math based off of the total books read total books I finished last year, and that number ended up being close to 40. I don't remember the exact number now. But it by the end of last year, I realized that 50 wasn't totally crazy, especially because I knew I would want to do readathons and reading challenges this year and do more book content and therefore spend more time reading and hopefully get through more books. But I have actually been on top of this. So I have been in a tiny bit of a reading slump as of late, just because I've been on a crochet kick. And you can't exactly read physical books or ebooks very easily when you're crocheting. So it's one or the other. Should really start reading more audiobooks. I am on track. I looked and I am currently on book 11 of 50. So, on track for what I want for the first 3 months. The last goal I want to talk about is my writing goal. So I don't talk about this much on here, but I want to start. Is I really enjoy writing. I've been writing since I was like 11 or 12, and I have a lot of story ideas, some that are half finished, some that are just started, some that are just in the planning phase. And so I have picked one of my drafts, and I want to, at the end of the year, say that I wrote a first draft of this. And for me, that is 40,000 words, which sounds like a lot. But the reason I have that number is most novels are about 40,000 words. So it feels like a good goal. Even if the book isn't finished by the end of the year, as long as I hit that number, that is my goal. Now, this month, I planned for this quarter of the year to be a kind of trial and error time because I have a bit of this specific draft written and enough that I feel okay going a quarter not really writing, which is ended up being what I did. I didn't really write this quarter. It's been a lot of trial and error, trying new writing softwares, trying to figure out a good time for me to write, and things like that. Next quarter, I definitely want to tie down a dedicated time for my writing, as well as just making sure I actually get a writing software that I like. I've been using Google Docs, but with all of their AI things, I just no longer feel comfortable using it. So I've looked into it and I've have 2 that I'm looking into. We'll see how those go. That will be the update for that goal next quarter, is to actually write something. So the next parts of this video are going to be in 3 parts. One is going to be me going through my closet. Now that it's becoming warmer, it's time to get out my warmer clothes and just kind of reassess my winter wardrobe. If there was anything I didn't wear this season, figuring out why, and if that means I should just get rid of that piece, or if I should try and make sure that I incorporate it more moving forward, and just getting out my warmer clothes. So we'll be doing that tomorrow, as well as going through my little food pantry, for those who don't know. Just going through all the food to make sure that if there's anything expired, it goes. But also making sure that I have colder food, because now that it's getting hotter, I'm going to want to eat colder food, regulate my body temperature easier. So we're going to do that. And then the last part will be a book review for this quarter. I was going to film the book review right after I did the goals, but I am so tired. I had a flare up yesterday, and today, although I'm feeling okay, I'm just really exhausted from it. So I'm gonna hold off. We're gonna film that tomorrow, so I will see you tomorrow. Hello. So it is actually a few days later. I planned on filming this weekend, but I ended up in a massive flare-up, and I just really needed to take the weekend to rest, including Monday. It's actually Tuesday, so yeah. So also with that, I'm going to nix a few things that I originally was going to put in this video. So we are still going to sit down and do the book review, but I really want to start on my closet. Now that it's spring, I want to just do a quick go through of the closet. Not to get rid of any clothes, because I feel pretty good with the amount of clothes that I have. I did a massive clean out last year, so I'm not too worried about it. Maybe I'll do one in the summer. But I just want to shift things around to... Here, let me set you down and I can show you better. Hold on. Okay, we're here. So this half of the closet that's behind the shoe rack is just really hard to get to. So I want to put all of my more spring lighter clothes to the side closest to me, and then my longer sleeve, more wintry clothes to this end behind the shoe rack, just because I'm not really going to be touching them. Plus, I have all of, hold on, let me show you. So a lot of my clothes are in here like this, where there's a shirt on a hanger, and then all my hangers have a little bar so I can put another hanger on it. So everything's hung in twos. So I just also want to make sure that everything that's hung in twos makes sense. So like these are two cropped t-shirts. This makes sense to have together. And I don't have like a long sleeve and a t-shirt together, because that doesn't really make sense. So we're just gonna go through and kind of get that stuff out. Something fell. Together. This is my pants hanger. I have 3 of these that have like 4 or 5 little juts. It's like half a hanger, and it's long, so I can hang multiple pairs of pants. So this is going to be on the this is hard. I think I'm gonna keep this. I am gonna count this as the winter side, but it literally just snowed yesterday, so I still need long pants for a little bit. So let me at least get everything out of the closet. Let's just start there before we get too far.
we are here. What I think I want to do is I want to get all of the, hold on, the clip-in. I want to get all of the fancy, I don't wear super often clothes in first, just because that's kind of like going to be the cutoff. Then I'm going to put in, I'm going to use my tiered hangers as like dividers almost. So I'm going to put in the fancy clothes, then the shirt layering tiered one I showed you, then all the winter clothes, then I think my jeans hanger, and then all my summer clothes. Yeah, that makes sense in my head. Okay. So, let's actually start with this though. Just pairing things up. Much better sorted for the warmer weather. I can get to things a little bit easier now. So the goal for the next quarter when it comes to my closet is to just start paying attention to what I am wearing and what I'm not wearing, to wear the newer pieces I got, to see how they feel, and also make sure that I'm paying attention to when I'm wearing them, because I am at a point where uncomfortable clothes, even if they are cute, if they aren't working, they're not worth keeping, especially with my disability. Just making sure that I have clothes that are both comfy to wear, that work for me. I don't know if I'm explaining that right. Yeah, just trying to make sure I check in, because like I had a tank top that I wore on one of the warmer days with a jacket over it. I had put it on normally and it just showed a lot of chest. I'm not big on showing, I'm okay with a little bit of cleavage, but this was a lot even for me. So I had even like tried turning the shirt around and things like that, and it just never quite worked. My goal for this next quarter is to wear the things in my closet and prioritize wearing the things in the closet, not just the drawers, but the closet, and making sure I'm paying attention where I'm wearing them, if they are comfy, if they're not. Like, also, I have a pair of Madewell jeans that are very nice quality that I got, I don't even know how long ago, but I got them at Martin's, which is a like secondhand resale type store here in Maine, and I got them for $8. And because of that, I've been keeping them for a very long time. I have only worn them a handful of times. Every time I have not liked them, and this last time I tried to wear them this Saturday to go grocery shopping in. They just did not work. They fit perfectly fine, but there was a gap in the back, which there had always been. I usually just throw a belt on it. But they were so uncomfortable to sit in. They were so uncomfortable still to just exist in. And having worn them as long as I had, having washed them as many times as I had, for them to still be that uncomfortable, it's just like, that's not worth it to me. Somebody else can break them in. It's not worth it. So, that being said, we have gone through the closet. I'm going to put the shoes back that were here, and I'm gonna give myself a talking break because, again, recovery flare up, talking's a little difficult. and I will see you in about 30 minutes to talk about the books that I've read this quarter and wrap up this video. I have my list. Let's wrap up this video, shall we? I have my list of all the books I've read so far this year. So as a reminder, my goal this year is to try and read 50 books by the end of the year, which per month is about 4 books a month, 4 or 5. And I definitely hit that. What's 50 divided by 4? 15? Is that correct? No. 14. That's correct. Right? Hold on. Why am I already have paper and I can just do it like this. Oh, I'm off. 12 and a half. That's what it is. It is 12 and a half. Told you. Brain's not fully on today. And according to this list, I have read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I read 11 on this list. Well, there's 12 on the list. But I finished a book and I'm currently reading Sunrise. It's still technically March, so I definitely hit the goal of at least 12 or 13 books. The way this is going to work is I'm going to do a non-spoiler review of these books. No, I'm doing a spoiler review of these books. So if there's a book in here that you want to read that you don't want the spoilers of, just skip ahead. I'll make sure I put all of the covers up on screen so you can just sort of skip ahead to whatever the next book is. So I'm just going to read this in order of what I did this year so far. Or I did this last 3 months. So I started the year off reading The Cinnamon Bun Bookstore, and I ended up giving that a 4.5. I really like this book. I like this whole series. I have read this 3 of 4. I have the strawberry pancake one that I'm reading after I finish Sunrise on the Reaping. But yes, I really like this series. If you want a romance series that's just an easy pick it up, put it down whenever you need to, palate cleanser kind of thing, that is this series. It takes place in New England, in a coastal town. I think that it's either Massachusetts or New Hampshire. It doesn't actually say anywhere, but that's my guess. Yeah, so I started with the Cinnamon Bun Bookstore because you don't have to read them in order. That's a nice thing because I definitely didn't. Hazel was very sweet. I really liked her, and I liked the little adventure part of this book. One thing I really like about this whole series, which I will probably say multiple times, is I like that there actually seems to be a plot that is followed. Because I feel like with certain romance spicy books, you get like part of the story and then a chunk of just the spicy parts, and then like, oh yeah, there's a story, I need to finish it. I need to wrap it up. There isn't like good pacing, but these books definitely have a very good pacing and everything is done very well. So I really like these books. So I definitely recommend them for just a nice easy read to add to your TBR. I literally think I get through these books in like 2 or 3 days. Next on my list is Connect the Stars. I also don't have any authors' names written down right now. This book I DNF'd. Now this was on my TBR. It's one of the books that I bought a long time ago that I'm finally getting around to reading. I think I got like halfway through this book and I was like, not for me. It is like more for a middle school audience, so maybe that's why I didn't enjoy it as much. I just got to a point where it's like, I really don't care. And when you get to that point, you don't have to finish it. And I didn't feel like finishing it, so I didn't. I do have it in a pile to be donated, so that book will not just be collecting dust on my shelf anymore. But at least I tried it. And I definitely think it would be a good book for a middle schooler aged group. I'm just not that age group. And that's fine. Because sometimes there's books in there that are young adult, middle school that are good. It's technically one of those books. This just was not one of them, and that's okay. Next book up was Be More Chill. Now, I love Be More Chill, the musical. It's like the first musical I ever got into. And so I bought this book way back when. And again, same as the last book, it's been on my TBR forever. And I finally got around to reading it, and I finished it. I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. Yeah, maybe that was because I already knew what was going to happen. Because, again, I knew the musical. But it was nice to see where it came from. I really like books like that, where I get to read what happens and then I get to see the movie adaptation, the musical, the whatever, just telling the reversion of that. And I like to see the differences in what you can add in detail in the book versus what detail you can add in any sort of visual media. Seeing the differences was cool. I don't know how many spoilers there are gonna be, honestly. I just like to say that at the beginning in case I do say something that ends up being a spoiler for the book. I just kind of talk about what I think. I realize now. So, fourth on the list is Better Together. Now, this was a book that I picked up in the clearance section of my bookstore. I really liked the cover art. It was really pretty. I liked the sound of it because I've been wanting to branch out into new genres this year. And fantasy was one of those ones because I remember liking fantasy books when I was younger and I wanted to kind of just jump back into that, see if it was still something I liked. This is definitely a good book if you want to do that. It still feels very much like a romance kind of, well, it's not romance. There are romantic elements in it, but it feels very much still very grounded in reality. So it's a nice book to kind of dip your toe in, see if you like it. So it describes itself as Parent Trap meets Freaky Friday, and that's like the perfect description. I will say it's a dual POV book as well. I remember skipping one of the characters' POVs every time because she just annoyed the hell out of me. So there's one, I don't remember the characters' names, and the book is like buried in my bookshelf right now, so I can't just like go grab it really quick. But essentially, the two characters are sisters. One lives in New Jersey, one lives in California, and they come together in this retreat in Colorado, and they meet and they decide to switch places, but at the retreat this magical thing happens and they actually end up looking like one another. So when they go back to the other person's lives, nobody notices. And the girl who was from California in New Jersey, I skipped her point of view every time. She was just annoying. She is just very in your face and very much only thinking about herself. And I get that was like part of the story that she was supposed to learn from, but it got to a point where she was just clearly hurting everybody around her, and I just hated reading it. So I ended up skipping her point of view like halfway through the book, and I stuck to the girl who lives in New Jersey but is in California because I actually really liked her point of view. She was a dancer who had an injury, who was kind of coming out of that and realizing I'm never really going to be able to dance again, and okay, what do I do now? And I related to that a little bit more, so I liked her. But yeah, I really liked this book. I gave it 4 stars despite only reading half a character. Like I said, a very good book if you want to get into fantasy and you're just trying to feel things out. Next is May the Best Man Win. This is a high school story about a trans boy who's recently transitioned medically and is going through his senior year, and it jumps between his point of view and his ex-boyfriend's point of view, where they had broken up over the summer because of the first boy's transitioning. Not because the ex-boyfriend was upset about it, but because it was just a lot and they just needed some time. And you get to see them get into this like heated like battle almost over who's gonna be homecoming king. Okay, this is a spoiler. I'm pretty sure neither of them win, which is hilarious. What I really liked about this book was it showed what being on testosterone would be like for somebody just getting on it, because I think he's only been on it a couple months, and so he's still trying to figure it out. And you see him have these like moments of like blind rage that he talks about, like he almost can't help it, and it feels like he's sabotaging his life from it, and you get to see him trying to balance that. And in the end, they do end up getting back together because they realize that they broke up more out of fear of the changes that were happening in their lives, and that less because they didn't want to be in each other's lives. So I definitely think this is a good book for somebody in that age range like they are, that are kind of going through those things. Yeah, it was just very cute. I gave it 4.5 stars. I really liked it. Next, I did a reread of Daydream. Now, I wanted to annotate this book, but for some reason I just couldn't do it. I get the annotating thing. Trust me, part of me wants to reread the Sunrise on the Reaping just to annotate everything, and maybe I will one day. But I don't know, maybe I think it was because I felt behind on my reading goal at this point or something, but I kind of ended up nixing it a few chapters in, and I just reread it because I like it. I think this, I don't know what I just put down that I reread it. I didn't put down a score. I think I gave it like 4.5 or 5 stars. I really like, that's my favorite Hannah Grace book. And I'm very excited to see what she writes next. My first 5-star read of the year is The Christmas Tree Farm. This is by far my favorite of all the ones I've read from the Dream Harbor series. I just really thought it was cute. One thing I really, really liked was the fact that they took some time before they got together. So in the book, this all happens during Christmas time, and the Pumpkin Spice Cafe owner's brother is coming into town for the holiday, and the owner of the Christmas Tree Farm just moved to town. He lives in California full-time, and of course she just moved there. And so even though they have this really intense connection at first, they both recognize like, hey, this is the holidays, we both have a life to get to, we don't know if this is really gonna work. And I feel like there are certain books that would have taken that and been like, but it's gonna work because it's a book and that's what happens. But this book's like, no, he's gonna go back to California, she's gonna keep working on the farm, and they're gonna exist as people for a while, but they always just kept coming back to each other and talking to each other and still being in each other's lives, to the point where they realized that they did want to be together, and that he was not happy in California and he hadn't been for a while. And I don't remember if it's that New Year's or the next New Year's, at some point he realizes that he never really wanted to be in California. He wanted to be closer to home anyway. He gets to be in the same town as his sister again, and he gets to be happy, and so he goes back and they end up together, and it's very cute, and I liked it. It felt very realistic compared to other books that I've read in the past. Then I read Pumpkin Spice Cafe, same series, and it's very cute. Because I already knew these characters pretty well, so I knew they were going to end up together, so it wasn't like this big surprise or anything, but it was just cute to see how they actually got together. And I like that in the following books you actually get to continue to see a little bit of their lives, about like them, like you read in the book about marriage and engagement and what happened and how he's really nervous about it, but then seeing in the next 2 books that they are together and they are engaged and they are getting married and they've kind of grown past that pain was really cute. And I like that you still get to see the characters grow as couples throughout the series. I hope that continues. Next I have to admit something. So next I read Celestial Monsters. Now this book I picked up in Barnes & Noble. I initially physically picked it up because I liked the cover and it was cute. It's like, oh, what's this book about? I read the description, loved it, and I was looking for other books at the time and was like, I'm gonna look for the books. If I don't find the books that I want, I'm gonna pick this one up. Could not find the books that I wanted, so I picked it up. Not realizing it was a duology, and that Celestial Monsters is the second book in the duology. I realized this about 2 chapters in, but 2 chapters in, I decided I'm too deep because I am invested at this point in the story. I might not know half the things that are going on, but I'm gonna read it, and I definitely did. I still gave it 4 stars. So I did end up reading the first book in this trial, the first book in this duology, the Sunbearer Trials. Definitely read it in order, first of all. But I got the experience reading the Sunbearer Trials of when you reread a book and you read it with this new context. And you're like, oh, that's why that happened. Oh, this is why this happened. So the big reveal in Celestial Monsters is that Zio, I'm very bad at the names in this book, so I apologize. Zio was actually an obsidian and not a jade the whole time. So there's 3 tiers of demigods. There's the golds, the jades, the obsidians, and then the humans, which is the normal humans. And then of course there's the actual gods. But when it comes to the demigod children, those are the 3. And all the obsidians are supposed to be dead. Well, not dead. They're supposed to be in purgatory up in the sky and the stars, basically. And so none of them are supposed to exist. And so Zio gets put in the trials and he ends up failing all of them on purpose to become the sacrifice. But to try and become the sacrifice to allow the obsidians to come back in. But that doesn't end up working. One of the golds ends up being the sacrifice, and Tio? What's his name? Starts with a T. I don't remember. Oh god. The Jade ends up winning. The Jade protagonist we follow, he ends up winning, and he is the first Jade to win ever. So this is supposed to be a big celebration, this big thing, but it ends up being not happening because he kind of hesitates, I really don't want to do this, because he's supposed to kill her. And then Zio runs in and is it's not happening, and he reveals that he's been an obsidian the whole time. And then you get to Celestial Monsters. All the obsidians are now back on Earth, and they're basically in the apocalypse because the sun doesn't exist anymore, essentially. They're in perpetual darkness and night, and it sucks. And they have to go find the obsidians and destroy them. And so you follow 3 of them. The Sunbearer and his 2 friends as they head to the obsidians, and you follow them through the journey. When they get there, they end up teaming up with everybody who was in the Sunbearer trials that year to fight the obsidians, and they resurrect Soul, their big god, the main one. And he recasts the obsidians out, but after realizing everything that's happened with the gods, he also says that the gods have to now go back up into the sky because the humans actually don't need the gods anymore. They are more than capable of taking care of themselves. The gods were on Earth to protect them, but they don't need that protection anymore. They can survive without them. And if they do need extra protection, their kids are there, the demigods, that can provide that. It ends with all of the kids saying goodbye to their parents, because now they can only see them on each god's respective holiday, which is a very sad ending, but overall a positive ending. So yeah, I gave Celestial Monsters a 4 and the Sunbearer Trials a 4.5. Then I read The Deep End. It was the first book I read by this author. Again, I don't remember the name. It was good. I really like college sports books, college romance books, and I liked it. I agree with the criticism of it's not as spicy as everybody said it was going to be, but I honestly didn't mind that. I liked the plot, I liked the pacing, I thought it was very well done. It was a nice, easy book to get through. I gave it 3.5. I really don't have much to say about it. Same with Offside. I know this is a series. I started with the first book. It was an audiobook that I listened to. I ended up giving it 3 stars. Again, not a lot to say about it. It was okay. It did have that bunch of plot in the beginning, then spice, and then, oh, we gotta wrap something up. We gotta, like, wrap it up in the end. It was fine. I gave it 3 stars. I wasn't, like, mad at it, but I wasn't crazy in love with it either. And that is the end of this video. Overall, the first quarter has gone very well. I think I achieved all of the goals that I had set for myself. Moving forward, I want to continue my reading goal. I have a big list of crochet projects, so this year, or this, I keep saying this year, this next quarter, I just want to focus on getting through my list. Maybe adding a few things to the list. I don't know. I keep adding things to the list. I want to get a list made of the things I want to make and start chipping away at it. When it comes to my content, I just want to keep things up here on YouTube with my weekly videos, making sure that I'm also doing my somewhat daily vertical videos. I know things are going to be a little bit more dicey now that the April 5th deadline is coming up. We'll see how that goes. We'll just adjust where we need to adjust when that hits. We're just gonna keep things moving. Things might be a little wonky this and the next month with the changing in temperatures on my health end. We'll see how that goes. And yeah. I think we are prepared for the next part of the year. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. It really helps me out. On screen now are my social media handles if you'd like to see more day-to-day things that I get up to. And with that, I will see you next week for a brand new video. Bye.